Thank you all. So raise your hand if you got to walk through our exhibit space before you came to sit down. Okay. So you all, not only in some of my fellow presenters' presentations here, got to check out our History Makers Tower. And I like to think about why we are history makers. I believe that everyone is a history maker. And each person represented on that tower and throughout our exhibit space has made an impact on their family, community, country, and in some cases, our world. Therefore, we have 70 plus people featured currently, but the great thing about our entire exhibit space is we can change it out years to come, which is a wonderful way to utilize and highlight different stories that we may not have come across before, like the wonderful diverse stories that Sam highlighted. So talking about another interesting story here, we have the story of Rita Mae Brown. Has anyone heard of Rita Mae Brown? Okay, a couple folks. So I learned about her when I actually got to do some research and help find the imagery on the tower. So diving into that and also thinking about this presentation this evening, I learned that she was born in Hanover and she was sent to an orphanage at a young age and then adopted by Ralph and Julie Ellen Brown. Later on in life, she would go on to write this novel, Ruby Fruit Jungle, that was published in 1973. It follows the lead character, Molly, through 4 stages of her life and highlights the lesbian experience similar to Brown's life experience. So it's quite interesting. I just actually finished the book last week, so it's quite interesting taking in that storytelling from Rita Mae's perspective in some ways, but also in other ways of highlighting other LGBTQ plus experiences. She has written over 50 books, so if you haven't read Ruby Fruit Jungle, you might have read one of her mystery novels. And as you can see here, she was an activist as well. She helped establish what was known as the Furies Collective, a DC-based organization that focused on addressing women's identity, their relationships with other women, their relationships with men, and how we all functioned in society. She was also a part of the National Organization for Women, and she has had some interesting experiences with some women in history. If anyone is familiar with the name Betty Friedan, she has a quite interesting story in relation to Betty. She also helped and was a champion for civil rights and AIDS awareness. Later on in her career, she received a grant from the National Endowment of the Arts and was appointed on a committee with the endowment by President Carter. And what is pretty remarkable is she is down in Charlottesville, Virginia, still writing books today. I just recently listened to an interview on YouTube with her and a fellow author recounting that she goes and takes time every day to write a little bit. So she's still coming out with those books, highlighting her different mystery stories and things. So I highly recommend taking some time to maybe read one of her books if you get the chance. But what I find to be quite remarkable is not only does she live down in Virginia, she lives on a 580-acre horse farm where she has additional animals, which she tends to in between when she writes. So she's a very remarkable woman, and we're very happy to highlight her and the 70 plus other individuals on the History Makers Tower, as well as throughout the exhibit. And some of you, well, I think all of you are history makers. So thank you for coming.